Hello. Oh, Denise. Denise is there. Hello, Denise. It's good to see you here today. And Barbara. Thank you, Barbara, for coming along and taking notes for us. Hi, Linda. Linda's always such a great support. And Kyla, back from Roots Tech. And that's about all for the moment. The door's open. It's great to see the door's open and you're coming in. So, hello, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to welcome you all to our March Speakers Corner. And thank you so much for coming along. Can you believe it's March already? I know that I can't, but for many of you, daylight saving has just turned over for another year, so you're possibly feeling it a little bit. Kyla's on the plane. Good on you, Kyla. Thanks for popping in. I wondered if you were home yet. So how did everyone enjoy Roots Tech? I know that I loved it. Bill's here. Bill's been busy over Roots Tech, holding watch parties and doing lots of Substack lives with Kyla and lots of things. So I'm sure Bill's feeling a little bit exhausted too. I know I'm a bit tired today after the busyness of Roots Tech. Kyla's saying she's got to lay a guess, so I can imagine, Kyla. It's quite amazing that you can get internet on the plane these days. Last time I flew, you couldn't. Just a bit. Yes, I'm a bit tired too, Bill. But it's all good, and it was just absolutely fabulous. I've had my head down for 4 days, and head down, bottom up into Roots Tech and research, and it's great to. I always put that time aside, so it's not very often you get to put that period of time, 4 days aside for family history and nothing else. So it's just a really great thing. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to Barbara and to Dear Myrtle. They've done a power of work over the past few weeks, and especially this week, to ensure that we have the best possible experience of the Roots Tech ride along. And I think you'd all agree with me that the ride along was absolutely wonderful and lots of fun. So I didn't want to let this moment go by without saying a huge thank you. And I just loved every bit of it. That's all I can say. So from me, and I'm sure from others, thank you to both of you, and thanks for all that you have done for us. So anyway, Rich Tech is behind us now, and we look ahead. Today we're looking forward to Speakers Corner, which will be on later in the week. We'll pop the link to register in the notes. So I'd like to welcome Crystal Lorimor from the Crichton's Cabin and Kelli Cedarfield from Pawnee Language Learning. Crystal and Kelli are going to give you a preview of the stories they will tell us later in the week. So Speakers Corner, as most of you know, is a place we come to tell our family stories to an absolutely interested audience. Most of us can't get enough of family history stories. Our theme for March is the new lands of the American West. Look, I'm really looking forward to hearing these stories, and have been since they were locked in last year. So I just know how interesting they're going to be. So those who saw my recent lives about relatives at Roots Tech would remember that Crystal and I discovered that we are cousins, 15th cousins twice removed. So just a little bit of distance there, but that doesn't matter. So after our chat, Crystal went on to discover that the family line we're connected on has land around was settled around the Crichton cabin where her family lived. That just amazed me when I heard that. I just could not believe it. I had always hoped to find family in America so that I could learn how to do American research, because I really don't have a clue, but I didn't expect to find a line like this around the Crichton cabin, because I've been reading about the cabin for as long as I've been on Substack, and to find that I had a connection there was just incredible. So before we start, I'd just like to tell you a little something that I found yesterday that does have a connection with our theme today. I had a reply from a fifth cousin on relatives at Roots Tech that the direct line of my second great grandmother, which is the line that Crystal and I connected on, also settled in a different branch of it, settled in the American West at Minnesota. she was very keen to collaborate and right away sent me all her research very generously, which I haven't yet verified because I have to do that, but it's all sourced and I'm sure it will be correct with no problem. But my ancestor there was a missionary and educator of the Native Americans in the area. Um, my head nearly spun off when I read that, knowing what we were talking about today. So that was something exciting to come out of RITSTEC. And I now have a new project, which is going to be huge, that I wasn't expecting to have. So happy days about that. So as excited as I am about this, it's not all about me today. So it's about my two wonderful guests. So we might start with Crystal, going in alphabetical order, as I like to do. So welcome, Crystal, and thank you for coming along. We'd like
Absolutely,
love
thanks.
to hear what you have to tell us about the Crichton Cabin. Over to you.
Oh, oh golly. So I've changed routes on this so many times, but I
Yep.
think after our last talk and with the relative finder and seeing how many people here on Substack are connected to families in the neighborhood of the Creighton Cabin, I thought I'd give a little bit more background about the neighborhood. Um, so in we're in eastern Ohio, part of the original 7 ranges, so with the Northwest, Territory Northwest Ordinance. We are by car today, depending where you are in the county, 45 minutes to an hour north of Marietta, Ohio. Okay, now Marietta has is an important piece in the westward expansion. And I think I'll go into next week or this week when we do our longer session. I'll go into a little bit of how we connect to how the Creighton Cabin neighborhood connects to one of
Oh,
the families. In fact, it's said that one of the first babies born in Marietta in 1788. Um, so it's very interesting.
yeah.
So the Creighton Cabin neighborhood, there was a book written in the 1980s about this neighborhood. It's commonly called for locals the Raven Rocks neighborhood. So, and I've just kind of gone by the family cabin name, just kind of as more of a, I don't know, just a privacy thing, I guess.
Yep.
So the cabin is actually owned now by um, some Quakers, some Quaker friends who bought. They now have over 1,000 acres that they are protecting, and the little farm that was the Creightons and the Creighton Cabin is part of that.
Oh,
They get the name Raven Rocks from this ravine that, if you're looking at the map of the article I wrote last week, the ravine is showing up in the southeast corner. And that ravine is beautiful. It's a rock shelter formation. And there was actually a study done in the 1960s, I believe, by Kent State University archaeologists. And this rock shelter, um, it's a late woodland rock shelter, and they think it was more of like a ceremonial site for the Native Americans who would pass through. And so I was looking at some of that study again this morning, kind of refreshing my mind about it. It's always been a special place. Even in the
yep.
1800s, I found newspaper articles that refer to this Raven Rocks.
Oh, right.
People would get, it's always been privately owned, um, but the people whoever has owned it has let it be open to the public, so people would picnic there. They would
Yep.
bring their buggies on Sunday afternoons after church, and they would tie their watermelons in the creek to keep it cold,
Oh, right.
and yeah, so you all have a tie to a very special place.
Mm, mm.
So, the Raven Rocks area, and I'm trying to look at some of the comments here, um okay. So, but and they do have a website that goes more into the Raven Rocks have they have a website if you want to read more about the ravine, see pictures of the ravine and so forth. The the cabin, I believe, was built in 1874. The actual cabin by my great great grandparents, and it was a farming community. So what you're used to seeing the girl on the one farm married the married the boy on the farm next door.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that, so that's how so many of you are connected to this little community.
That's just amazing that there's so much connection to that community from this community.
Yes,
It really is, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's really good to hear a bit of the background about the Creighton Cabin. How long did it stand? Do you
It's
know?
actually still standing.
Oh, right,
Yes,
right.
it is in, um, we've it's in bad shape, but we're trying to the owners and some of the volunteers, some of the families that have lived there, we're trying to, preserve it.
Yeah,
So we've removed the flooring so that we can replace, like, the sill log so that it'll continue to stand. It won't be
yeah.
livable, but
No,
we want to at least keep it so that it can
keep.
stand another
Yeah,
100
yeah,
years.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it must be wonderful just to be able to see it like that, knowing your family lived there. I mean,
Yeah,
just
and
an
I didn't even know it existed until, I think, 2017 when
Oh,
I
okay,
found it.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. Barbara's popped a link into the Raven Rocks crystal, so
Okay,
as she
great,
said, so you don't have to.
great.
So yes, that'll be in the notes. Yeah, yeah. So that was really great, Crystal. So looking forward to hearing your story and the connections that the cabin has with us all. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I'd now like to welcome Kelly Cedarfield from Pawnee Language Learning. Go ahead, Kelly. Tell us some background about your story.
Nawa tiras tapi wahat. Tata sakeli, tata kita pari, pita hawirata, uh, pitka. Greetings, everybody. My name is Kelly, and I am a enrolled citizen of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma. We come from the Pita Hawirata Band and the Kitkahaki Band, and we are trying to revitalize our language. It's kind of I don't live in Pawnee. I live at the base of Mount Rainier in Washington State, so there's not a whole lot of people to practice with, but we're working on that.
Yeah,
In in 2000, how long has it been now? 2017, my husband went on a 5-week trip to Japan, and I was at home alone. All my kids were grown and gone. I thought, "Wow, what am I gonna do for 5 weeks?" And I remembered my dad. My dad is German English. I obviously take after him. The rest of my siblings are quite a bit darker than I am. But I remembered dad. My mom's a midwife, and so when she would go out on a birth, dad would get videos out and popcorn, and we'd stay up late at night as, mom's gone, we get to watch movies. So I
yeah.
thought so I got some CDs, I think, from the library and spent the first week binge watching I can't remember what and eating popcorn and way too much chocolate. At the end of the there's got to be a better way to spend my time than this. And I remembered dad again. Dad passed away 30 years ago. And he loved family history, absolutely loved genealogy. And I thought, oh, I wonder if I can pick up where dad left off. So I went in the garage, got his box of genealogical research, computer printout, notes, memos, letters from courthouses throughout the country.
Oh,
Okay, it's time. So I sat down at the computer and thought, let me try the Dunlap line. That's my mom's Scotch Irish side. And I was able to find in 10 days more than dad was able to find in 10 years.
yeah,
I
yep.
pieced together my great grandfather's family, got all the siblings in line, found a little baby who had died in Mississippi before they moved to Missouri, found their children, their spouses, and their grandchildren. It was really, really satisfying.
Yeah.
I thought, if I can find this much on a white line, I wonder what I can find on the Pawnee line.
Ah,
So I opened it up and you go into these websites and everything's all filled out and all the dates and the names, and then you go to our Pawnee line and there's nothing there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
All we had was family stories, oral history. And my grandpa was the one that moved from Pawnee, Oklahoma during World War II for jobs. he worked at the Hanford nuclear plant because the rumor was you could make $1 an hour if you worked at Hanford. So instead of working the oil fields and doing whatever they did in Oklahoma and Texas, the whole family moved up to the Tri-Cities in Washington and worked at the Hanford plant. So that was where our disconnect from the tribe happened, was then. But Grandpa kept telling the stories. He kept telling the stories of Big Spotted Horse. He kept telling the stories of Elmo Jim. He kept telling the stories of his mom, Lucy Gilmore. And so I had those stories, and it was because I had those stories I was able to track them. Just a spotted horse is a really common name on the plains, not just amongst the Pawnee, but there's a lot of spotted horses out there during the 1800s and the early 1900s. And even amongst the Pawnee tribe, we had our relative, Big Spotted Horse, who was frequently called Spotted Horse by the white settlers there. There was also another Spotted Horse who was a little bit older than our Spotted Horse / Big Spotted Horse. Then there was also Spotted Horse Chief. All three of these people were commonly called Spotted Horse by the white settlers. So which one is ours? And it was because of the stories that Grandpa told that I was able to track. And I identified this one. This one is ours. This is our story. This is a great story, but it's not our story. Oh, over here, buried over here? No, that is not our Spotted Horse buried over here. And I was actually able to find his burial. He was murdered. He was murdered by the sheriff of Caldwell, Kansas. And that, again, was a family story. And I was able to find him where he's buried. He's buried in the middle of a cornfield right now. It's no cemetery. But I was able to find him.
Yeah, yeah.
So oral histories are really important. We tend to it's not written down, it doesn't count. No. Oral histories are very, very important.
Yeah. You've just touched on what Speaker's Corner is all about, Kelli, the power, and you've shown the power of telling the stories. I mean, it's through the stories that the culture has probably existing today, and not existing, known so well today, Could you imagine if you looked up back then when you did that, if you'd looked up and the stories weren't there, you would have been really stuck, wouldn't you, on where to start? And
yes.
Yeah. And had you not been told the stories during your lifetime, so how wonderful that your grandfather did, and your father, you said, did tell you the stories.
Yeah, my grandfather. Yes.
Yeah. So I read on one of your pages that you take your mum back to that area occasionally.
Yes.
And how does that go?
So in this research, I realized I need to go to Pawnee. I need to go to Pawnee. And every year they have the homecoming powwow. I had never been to the homecoming powwow. Mom and Dad took me once, way back in 1994. And Dad had passed away, and my mom had gone a couple of times with my brother, but she hadn't been back. And so it's like, Mom, we're going to the powwow this year. So I actually took a road trip, and from, Mount Rainier, Washington, all the way over and then down. And I picked her up in Nebraska. We went to the Pawnee Museum in Kansas, which was fantastic. It's a reproduction of our earth lodges, and it's an active archaeological site. So that was really interesting to talk to the people there, get a little more insight. And then we dropped down to Pawnee, and she met cousins there that she hadn't seen in a long time. And that I didn't know. And it was really interesting. I'm obviously the wrong color. I'm the color of colonization. And so they would always defer to my mom. Oh, Miff, it's good to see you. Oh, you're Miff's. So years I was Miff's daughter. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Totally. And but we go back every year. And one year Mom was not able to make it. I think it was after 6 years Mom was not able to make it. And so then it was like, oh, hi, Kelli. I was no longer Miff's daughter. So with a lot of I hate to lump us all into one category, but it takes time to build trust.
Yeah.
And I think of any tight-knit community, it just takes time to trust.
Yeah.
Boy, is it worth it. Because now that I have heard about my great-grandparents and other cousins have really, really filled in the gaps for me, filled in the gaps for my family. It's like, oh, that's what happened. And oh, that's why that happened. I mean, were they basically kidnapped our people and hauled them off to boarding schools and were educated by white people, forced to punished if they spoke their language. That's how we lost the language, is they were punished. And so my great-grandmother was taken to Pawnee boarding school when she was 5, and my grandpa used to say when she went to boarding school, she only spoke Pawnee. And when she came home from Carlisle Indian School, she only spoke English.
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh, gee. It's just, it's so sad to hear that, actually.
It is. It really
It leaves me a bit speechless when you say that.
She understood it, but she didn't speak it.
Yeah. And you can understand why it would take a fair bit of work to build the trust.
Yes.
You really can, can't you? And as you say, how worth it it's been. I mean, yeah. And for your mum too, for you to do that for your mum, I think that's just a wonderful thing.
I love back just to see her be so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's almost like she's gone full circle, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Pawnee area, can you tell us just a little bit about that?
I would love to. The Pawnees are the original Plains Indians. There are
Right.
that claim to be Plains Indians, but they came later. We have found archaeological evidence, earth lodges that go back 2,000 years, and the Pawnee people were the only people that built those kind of earth lodges. So our villages, towns, and cities were along the rivers of Nebraska and Kansas, but our hunting and gathering territories went all the way to the Rocky Mountains and down to the Red River, the Oklahoma-Texas border, and over to the Mississippi River. It was huge territory, and we numbered upwards of 60,000. Some people think it was up to 100,000 people. We don't really know. They had no need to keep written records because they were from early childhood to keep oral history. Had no need to write anything down.
Yeah.
So that was our hunting and territory, and then the Siouan tribes, the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota people came in from the Great Lakes region, and they started hunting in our grounds. And then the Apache came, and the Cheyenne came, and so there was competition for the food there that wasn't before. So we gathered around in Nebraska, in the Nebraska area, Nebraska and Kansas area. And then the white settlers started coming. We were never at war with the U.S. Army, with the U.S. government. We were one of the friendly tribes. And in fact, the Pawnee Scouts were, depending on who you ask, were a division of the U.S. Army or were assisting the U.S. Army. Right. We protected the railroad workers as the railroad was laid across the plains, especially the Chinese workers. The Lakota tribes and the Cheyenne tribes were constantly attacking. In fact, sometimes they would actually cause the railroads to regress. They attacked more than they were able to build. So since they were our natural adversaries, we were more than happy to protect the railroad against the Lakota and the Cheyenne. We protected medical missions coming across the plains. We protected other U.S. government missions across the plains. So we were very friendly towards the U.S. government, and we were also friendly towards the U.S. settlers. There's lots of stories about the settlers in Nebraska and the interactions they had with the Pawnee tribe. But unfortunately, not all the settlers were nice to the Pawnee. And so they would come in our land, they would cut the trees, the timber, they would hunt where they weren't supposed to. And so resources became very, very scarce. So we asked the government for a reservation in Nebraska. And they gave us a reservation, and then we had to go to Washington, D.C. to get that treaty ratified, because it wasn't being ratified. And even then, the rogue settlers would come in and cut down the trees and hunt on the reservation. So that's when the big decision came. Do we move to Indian Territory or not?
Yeah. And there's more to the story there. Look, I think you all agree with me that we're in for a treat at Speaker's Corner later in the week with these two speakers. Both stories, there's just so much to unpick in both of your stories, and with Crystal, all those families around the cabin, it's just incredible that, there's been so much research is done too, So Yes, so I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories in full and, really soaking them up because you've really sparked an interest today. And I'm sure everyone else is too. So I should say Speaker's Corner, for those who don't know, will be on later this week on Thursday or Friday, depending on your time zone. Barbara will pop a link in the notes that will have your time zone and all about the event. This is a free event, but it is on Zoom, so you will need to register. So don't forget to register to get your Zoom link. And I should also mention I'm putting together now the program for 2027. And we're getting well into the year. So do let me know if you'd like to come along and share your story with us. And once again, there will be a link to a form where you can submit your name, or you can just contact me, and we can do it that way. Yes. So again, to Crystal and Kelly, thank you so much for coming along today and whetting our appetite for your stories. You've definitely left me hanging for more, both of you, and I just know that we're going to hear some wonderful stories on Friday. And thank you for taking the time out to come along, for everyone out there to come along after what's been a very busy few days at Rootstech. I so much appreciate your support and interest and your effort to make it here today, because I know there's probably a little bit of tiredness out there in the community. Yeah. So that we'll maybe wind it up there. And I'll once again thank you to Kelly and to Crystal. Wonderful job, really wonderful job with giving us your preview. So I'll see you all later in the week.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.